Hey, what's going on, fam? So another video. Obviously, it's been a while since I made a video. I know I keep saying I'm going to get back to being consistent, but things just kind of keep coming up. At first, I was just going through, as I said in a previous video, kind of a hard time in my life. But even recently, it hasn't been so much a hard time, just, trying to do other things, personal and professionally. And I just kind of been busy. So my bad, fam. I know I haven't been consistent with these videos. I know a lot of y'all probably won't even get the notice that this video came up because I haven't uploaded in so long. So I know a lot of you guys aren't really even paying attention to the channel at this point, and I don't blame you. But I'm back. I'm not gonna make any promises about the frequency because it seems like every time I promise a frequency of videos or try to say or even say I'm going to be more frequent, I end up getting more delayed in my frequency. So first of all, I do want to apologize to those of you who have stayed loyal with me, and also thank you guys for staying loyal with me through this while I've been inconsistent with the uploads. Also, though, one thing that I forgot to do that I had been wanting to do, but by the time I got into making the video, it just slipped my mind and I focused on the topics. But I had wanted to make or say this in one of my videos a couple of months ago, and that was just a personal shout out to everyone who has donated. Nobody's donated in a while, but that's okay. I haven't made any videos in a while. But I do want to thank the people who have made an effort to donate, even during the times when I was taking a break. So, brother Matthew, you know who you are. You've made a donation. I want to thank you, brother sister Shani B. You made a donation, so I want to thank you. Um, brother Gator, you've made a donation, so thank you, brother. Brother Wyatt is his first name. I'm not gonna say his full name. I don't want to reveal his full name unless he's okay with that. But anyway, brother Shabazz, thank you. You made a generous, larger donation, so thank you especially. But thank you to everybody, big or small donation. But I do notice that it does take more to give a larger donation. So um, or takes more out of your own finances, obviously. So, Brother Shabazz, a slightly extra special thank you for giving a larger donation, but thank you to everyone, whether you gave a $1 donation or, you know, $1 million donation, which nobody has, of course, but, it doesn't matter. Thank you for a donation, period. But obviously, the bigger donation you give, the more of a personal sacrifice it was. So, thank you, a little bit extra special thank you to those who um, gave a little bit extra money. And my bad about that noise, fam. Um, but oh yeah, and last shout out is brother Sultan because he gave an extra big donation, at least compared to most people. So again, thank you to everybody, not diminishing anybody who gave a smaller donation, but I do want to at least somewhat acknowledge those who gave a bigger donation and say thank you very much um, to everyone who's donated. Whether I've been making videos actively or not. But anyway, with the thank yous and explanations out the way, let's go ahead and get to the topic of the video. So, obviously, as you guys know, the big thing that's going on in the world right now is the Trump white supremacists invaded the Capitol. Now, there's a lot to talk about in this. I don't want to make this a super long video, so I'm gonna try not to take it too long. But I do want to touch on it and touch on some of the things that this has revealed and some of the things that this teaches us and also some of the things that we should be careful of that's coming out of this situation. So, as you guys should know, or as most of you should know, and if you don't, you probably need to read the news or watch the news more. But basically, a contingent of Trump supporting white supremacists invaded the Capitol because they didn't get their way because Donald Trump lost. Now, I've speculated that the election was rigged, myself personally. But so I do somewhat understand their anger. However, we can't help but avoid the irony of the fact that these white supremacists invaded the Capitol and the consequences were not as immediate and as strong as they should have been. And we also need to understand how this shows how hypocritical white, even though most of us should have already known this, this just further reveals how hypocritical white supremacy is. Now, if you guys listen to my videos, you know I talk about the hypocrisy of white supremacy a lot. But in particular, this hypocritical situation is obviously we know when black people riot, the main people having fake ass outrage are white supremacists, are right wing Trump supporting white supremacists. Even when Trump was campaigning, he made sure to say things like all lives matter. These were the things that was revealing to us early on that Trump was an open and blatant white supremacist. They make a big, huge deal and try to criminalize and demonize black people for rioting, raiding, and destruction of property over injustice. But when these white supremacists feel injustice, they do the same thing, if not worse, because you attacked our government basically by invading the Capitol the way you did. You could, what they would have done to black people is treated them as a domestic enemy, like a domestic terrorist enemy. And they would have declared us as such and indicted all of us as terrorists if a group of black people did that. They would have did the honeypot deal, RICO, all them deals where you group in a bunch of people, big ass dragnet, anybody who was, even people who weren't there but who were considered to be associated or affiliated or helped to plan it would have been arrested. So not only do you have these white supremacists engaging in the same rioting and destruction that they claim there's never an excuse for black people to do when they feel injustice, but when you feel an election was unjust, you invade the Capitol. But not only that, you don't suffer the immediate consequences. First of all, when we had these riots, these George Floyd riots going on around the country, we had the police finding people based off social media. We had the police find a woman who was completely covered, face was completely covered, but they were able to track her down based on social media and her cell phone data. They were able to track down hundreds of masked looters and rioters during Black Lives Matter and anti-racism protests. But now all of a sudden that you had all these white supremacists, many of them with no mask, invading the Capitol. You had the FBI and all of these people claiming we need help finding the people who invaded the Capitol. No, you don't. Many of law enforcement was in on it. Professor Black Truth just did a video about that. I recommend you guys go watch that if you haven't done that. But the bottom line is we see the blatant hypocrisy. And you white supremacists that try to compare, because then some white supremacists will say, well, I condemn both. I condemn the Black Lives Matter protests, and I condemn the invasion of the Capitol. They're not the same. You being mad because your male racist president lost an election that was possibly rigged, but that's the white supremacist system y'all set up. Y'all set up a rigged system. So you being mad because you didn't get your way politically in your own rigged ass system, white supremacists. See, you love the system being rigged when it's rigged against black people. You love the system being rigged when a white man gets 5 years and a black man gets 20 years for the same crime. You love the system being rigged when a white man can shoot at cops and do all this stuff. And we haven't seen this in the Capitol. We see these videos on social media all the time. White men beating up cops, shooting at cops, all kind of stuff, and don't get killed. You had no problem with the system being rigged then. You have no problem with the system being rigged when black people are blocked from creating businesses on equal levels with white people. You don't have a problem with the system being rigged when there are known healthcare disparities between black people and white people. And if y'all hear a little bit of like noise or jingling in the background, that's my dog. My bad, fam. But anyway, we can just look at the system of white supremacy in general and see how many different aspects of life that the system is rigged against black people. And we didn't see no damn Trump ass white supremacists rioting over it. As a matter of fact, these were the very people who would go out of their way to defend the system being rigged against black people. So you white supremacists, no matter how hard you try, you cannot equate your anger over Orange Man losing an election to the black people's anger over 400 to 500 years of white supremacy and injustice. It's not the same. So I don't give a shit that you condemn both white supremacists. They're not the same. Only one is condemnable here. And then not only that, the other hypocrisy we see is that all of these back the blue, back the badge white supremacists, first for again, none of this stuff is new. We saw this back the badge, black the blue hypocrisy when that white woman Justine Demond got killed by that black officer Muhammad Noor. They completely abandoned back the badge and back the blue then, and they completely abandoned back the badge and back the blue when they invaded the Capitol and killed a police officer and attacked several others, physically assaulted several others. So we see the blatant hypocrisy. These white supremacists were all about back the badge, back the blue, all lives matter, blue lives matter, until the blue lives stood in their way. Even though we know that some of those blue lives did take their side, which is really why they support the blue lives. They support the blue lives that opened the gates and helped them invade the Capitol. That's the blue lives they support. The white supremacist blue lives, not black blue lives, not non-white supremacist blue lives. White supremacist blue lives matter. That's what they meant, and they show it in their damn actions, especially in their invasion of the Capitol. But again, this is not the first time we've seen the white supremacists show hypocrisy on back the badge and back the blue. So again, all of these white supremacists need to be indicted. Some people are saying, "Oh, I was scared." I'm not saying they shouldn't have been shot. I'm just saying you shouldn't be shooting us. Black people, stop saying that. Stop saying that crybaby ass dumb stuff. The white supremacists know that we don't want them to shoot us. But since they keep practicing white supremacy and will shoot us no matter what, we should be advocating for them white supremacists to have been shot down and gunned down, because that's what would have happened to us. We get gunned down for having cell phones in our hand like Philando Castile and not doing anything wrong to anybody. And I said cell phone, that wasn't Philando, but Philando was complying with orders. Complying with police orders and complying with the police order is what got him killed. So if and the white supremacists found a way to justify it. We had a black child with a toy gun that wasn't threatening anybody, and he got killed. Tamir Rice. And the white supremacists found a way to justify it. So if the white supremacists are going to find a way to justify, and my bad for the cough, fam. If the white supremacists are going to find a way to justify 12-year-old black kids getting killed, then I don't want to see no mushmouth babbling, explaining Negroes trying to explain to these white supremacists, "Oh, we don't want you to get shot. We just telling you, see, we should get treated the same." No. Gun down those white supremacists, because that's exactly what they would have done to black people. I want to see their asses mowed down for invading the Capitol. But anyway, fam, I digress, because like I said, a lot of this hypocrisy, those of us who understand white supremacy, understands hypocrisy is essential to the spirit of white supremacy. So let's move on to the other part I want to talk about. And that's about this censorship stuff that's going on, fam. And this leads me to the screenshot that you see up on your screen, or you should see up on your screen, from a reporter named Glenn Greenwald. He used to work for The Intercept. They were a quote-unquote progressive publication. If you guys remember when I was talking about the election, I was talking about how if you watch independent media, you'll see how the Democrats are screwing over the people, even for non-black people and even for a non-black agenda, but it's even more so for a black agenda. Well, Glenn Greenwald was one of these white people who was a left-winger or a white liberal. He's a gay man, but that doesn't matter to me. I know that matters to some of y'all, but it doesn't matter to me unless it starts to get used for the purposes of white supremacy, which that's another topic for another day. But anyway, He's a left liberal kind of guy. He helped start The Intercept, which was one of these so-called independent media platforms that help to expose how, from a left-wing perspective, how the Democrats are just, and from a left-wing non-black agenda perspective. So again, I say that for the coons who, even if you're a coon who doesn't want to get on board with a black agenda, the Democrats are still screwing over the average citizen. Or even if you're a non-black person who therefore has no motivation to get on board with a black agenda, or you're an anti-black racist, if you support the Democrats, you're still a fool because they're still working against the masses of the people. Even if you're not looking for a black agenda, they're still corrupt. And outlets like Glenn Greenwald, that's the guy who I'm talking about in the screen cap that I'm using, reporters like him and his outlets, The Intercept, were outlets that were out there to expose these kind of things. Now, long story short, he's left The Intercept because they've been co-opted by Biden and the Democrats, and there's a lot of sheepdog organizations on the non-black agenda, left-wing, independent media. Just like I talked about how how I suspect the ADUNS organization to be a sheepdog organization for black people, The Intercept has become a sheepdog organization for non-black white leftists who have a spirit to rebel against the Democratic Party. The Intercept has become a sheepdog outlet. So that's why he's left it, because they were censoring him exposing Biden before the election, because they said, and he said this, and this is an organization he helped start, Glenn Greenwald. This is an organization that he helped start. He said that they censored him from criticizing Biden because it would hurt him in any election. That's not the job. The job of a media outlet is not to help or hurt candidates during an election. It is to report the facts and allow their reporters to report the facts, which is exactly why he left that organization, The Intercept. But that's his claim to fame. I was just giving you guys a little backstory on him for those of you who don't know. But the reason why I'm bringing him up is because he posted a story, and I'm going to put the link to it in the description box, where Instagram was fact-checking and censoring people who were exposing Jim Crow Joe's history of racism and his 94 crime bill white supremacy and his pro-segregation white supremacy and his 86 or 84 crime bill white supremacy and his pro-segregation white. There's so many facts out there that show that Biden was not some passive supporter, so he was an active supporter of segregationists. He supported 2 anti-black crime bills. Jim Crow Joe is a racist. And this reporter, Glenn Greenwald, I keep getting tongue-tied with his name, wrote an article showing how Instagram is using these censoring fact checks to censor the truth. Using these false, lying-ass, quote-unquote fact checks, which is an oxymoron, because you're using lies to fact check the truth. Using deception to fact check the truth. And the reason why I'm bringing that up in relation to this Capitol riot thing is because that's the other thing that's come out of this damn riot, is the liberal white supremacists have gone full censorship. And this is extremely dangerous, and I'm using that screen cap to show you how it's dangerous. Because what they're going to start doing is targeting, they're already doing it. That's what this Glenn Greenwald article shows. What they are going to start doing is become the arbiters of truth. They're going to decide that they know what the white supremacists and elites, we're going to allow elites to decide what truth is and what truth isn't, even when the truth is not what they say it is. Like with this crime bill. They're trying to say that the crime bill did not, and my bad, fam, for that alarm going off. But they're trying to say that the crime bill did not start or spark mass incarceration because it was going up before then, when the fact is that yes, it was going up before then, but the crime bill, the 94 crime bill, still accelerated it even further. So you're using minor minuscule facts to lie and then say it's true and censor people with quote unquote fact checks if they try to put out the truth. So this is not just for Trump. So for all the idiots, because there's a lot of slaves and idiots out there, Negroes, cheering on this censoring of Donald Trump. And I'm going to say this, fam. I had a problem with them censoring Donald Trump from the moment they started putting those little warnings under his tweets, when they started saying, see the facts on elections, when they started doing all that censoring crap. I had a problem with it then. But again, I wasn't making videos, so I didn't really say much. But I didn't really have the platform because I was just so busy with doing other stuff. And again, fam, if y'all see like hear ruffling or rustling in the background, that's just my dog kind of walking around and stuff. But anyway, fam, so I knew that this censorship was dangerous from the beginning, and it's just getting worse and worse, fam. First of all, with the little election fraud warnings that they put under Donald Trump's tweets. Let people do their own damn research. If people are stupid enough to just believe whatever Donald Trump says and not do their own fact checking and just believe anything that Donald Trump says, you giving them a fact check is not going to stop making them be stupid. All you're doing is trying to change one person that they listen to another person, which is really what it's about. It's about saying, hey, listen to our approved sources who will tell you lies and tell you whatever fits their agenda to keep them in power and keep the system and society the way it is, and to keep allowing the elites to expand their wealth. That's all they're going to do. They're going to keep telling you whatever lies benefits elite society and keeps the status quo going. For example, them censoring the truth about Jim Crow Joe and his racism. So we see the dangers of this, and all of these idiots trying to cheer on censorship. You're idiots. And then some people will say, oh, it's the free market. The conservatives like the free market. Why don't you let the free market decide? Well, you won't let the free market decide. Why? Because you have these big tech monopolies and oligarchs like Google, Facebook, Amazon, uniting to unilaterally own the internet and ban you off internet. Start your own app. Fine. The white supremacists started their own app, Parler. What did they do? They deleted the app. That's monopoly. That's dictatorship. It's not free speech. And if we're not going to have free speech on these platforms, then these platforms, they need to have Section 230 repealed, which Donald Trump was for, by the way, which is again why I said Donald Trump being elected would have more accidental benefits for us than Joe Biden being elected. Because what's happening now? Exactly what some of the dangerous crap that I said would happen. Now we're opening the gateway for average people to be censored for telling the truth about white supremacists like Joe Biden. We already seen where your account gets. This is why, for example, fam, let me backtrack or stop a little bit in the middle of my rant. Fam, a lot of y'all will ask me for my Twitter handle, and I'll give it to you, but I'll tell you I never used it. And mostly if you check my Twitter account, I haven't logged on in like a year and a half or a year, whatever it is. You know why I stopped using Twitter? One of the biggest reasons why I stopped using Twitter? Because my account would get instantly suspended for using the word coon. Instantly suspended. The C word. But I saw white supremacists use the N word with an ER. And I had to report it and wait 8 hours until that white supremacist account got suspended. So the white supremacist Twitter put in an algorithm to ban the C word supposedly because it's a racial slur, right? But we know the real reason why they ban it. Not because it's a racial slur, but because it's a slur that's used by on-code black people to call out off-code black people. Because if you were just so upset about the slurs, people who use the N-word would also have their accounts instantly suspended. And do you know how I know their account wasn't instantly suspended? Because the person was still tweeting. Because when my account got suspended, they locked my account for 12 hours so I could not tweet, and I had to delete the tweets. These white supremacist N-word tweets were up for 8 hours, and they were tweeting actively during those whole 8 hours, meaning that the white supremacists did not automatically program the N-word to cause you an instant suspension, the way they program the C-word to give you an automatic suspension. So again, a lot of this, and my bad for that alarm again, fam. But again, fam, a lot of the same slave Negroes who are defending this damn censorship are the same Negroes who voted for Biden and are the same Negroes who are going to allow this to totally censor the fight against white supremacy. And I said I needed to backtrack. Let me get back to what I was saying before I went on that little side rant about what Twitter does, or what Twitter has done to me personally with censorship. Oh, another thing that got me censored, because there was an account I had before that account that I don't use. Fam, there was a white basketball player named Sam Decker who's not in the league anymore. But he put up a white supremacist phrase saying it's okay to be white. Now, nobody needs to say it's okay to be white. When we look at the stats in society, when we look at the wealth gap, when we look at the employment gaps, it's already okay to be white. The only people that are saying feel the need to say it's okay to be white are white supremacists who are trying to create a false victim narrative that black people getting equal rights and black people calling out white supremacists is somehow discrimination and somehow making it a bad thing to be a white person. So what I said on Twitter was a simple phrase. I said any white person who says it's okay to be white is a white supremacist. My whole account got deleted for that. That's the only phrase I said. I didn't say white people are inferior, white people are whatever. I didn't say white people are savages, white people are I didn't say anything that could be even though it's not possible to be racist against white people. I didn't say anything that could be considered quote unquote racist against white people by the dominant society. I didn't say white people are cavemen or were created in a lab. I didn't say any of that. I didn't say they were devils. I said any white person who says it's okay to be white is a white supremacist, and my account got suspended for that. So all the idiot Negroes, they use somebody that's a character that it's been approved that everybody dislikes, because that's a virtue signaling thing for white liberals. I hate Trump. It makes them feel like they're proving that they're not racist if they hate Trump. So everybody agrees, because of all the anti-Trump propaganda, that it's okay to dislike Trump. And so they use Trump to normalize censorship while not mentioning that these monopolies like Twitter have protections under the law called Section 230. Because you know what, fam? When a publisher, and this is why I mentioned 230, because when someone publishes something, let's say I tell a lie on somebody, and a newspaper publishes it, the person that I told a lie on can not only sue me for putting out a lie on them, they can sue the newspaper for publishing it. That's why the newspaper has an editor. Their responsibility is to make sure that factual assertions are put in newspapers, even though that doesn't happen. We see lies put in newspaper all the time, but I digress. The idea is that that's one of the reasons for an editor or an editor-in-chief and editors that work for newspapers and other media outlets is to make sure that you're not slandering or libeling people. Well, Twitter and Facebook and all these things have a special law that's just for them, that protect them from being sued for libel or slander that's produced and published on their platform because they said that they're not a publisher. So if you are not a publisher, then you have no right to censor what's on the platform. If you're going to censor what's on the platform, you are now acting as an editor, and only publishers have editors. So you guys are, and this is why, again, Trump was going to repeal that, which would have benefited us because that would have either A, made the social media companies stop censoring people in order to keep the protections of Section 230, or it would have allowed them to be sued constantly for the constant lies that are on social media, which would have put them out of business. So either way, it would have been a benefit to black society, because either would have A, opened a door for black society to produce their own platform that they won't be censored on, or B, it would have forced these platforms that already exist to stop censoring black people. So, fam, this, and again, if y'all heard a lot of background noise, my bad. My dog was walking around in the background. But again, there are a lot of idiot slaves trying to walk around, trying to defend the censorship of Twitter. Oh, it's a business. If you don't like it, make your own. Do you know how many black people have tried to make black-only apps, and they're always crashed and full of glitches and all that stuff? You know why? Because the white supremacists, first of all, send bugs to those apps so that they won't succeed. But then B, we see that even if they're not sabotaging it via viruses and hacking, which they do, I don't care what anybody says, a lot of these black apps that people have started were sabotaged by viruses from these major social media companies who don't want to see black people deviating away from social media because A, black people are some of the biggest users of social media, and B, they want to be able to monitor black people because all of these apps and websites are linked up with the CIA and the FBI. So not only A, are they sending viruses and glitches to sabotage these sites so that they don't function correctly, but B, even if you want to deny that, we've seen with the way they took that white supremacist app Parler off Google Store and banned it from so many different platforms, that even if they're not using viruses, if they decide that your that the content being used on your app, they tell you to go make your own app. But then when you go do it to say the things that they won't let you say on their app, they still censor and ban you from making the damn app. Fam, we are getting into a very dangerous territory in our society. And my apologies for the call. Any Negro, any fool, even white person, whoever it is, supporting the censorship of Donald Trump is an idiot and is dangerous. I'm sorry, I don't care who it is. If you're supporting the censorship of Donald Trump, you're an idiot and it's dangerous, because what did Donald Trump get censored? Not in quote unquote inciting violence. What got him censored was the fact that he said he wasn't in attending the inauguration. Something that Joe Biden agreed with. And Twitter said that's the reason why they suspended him, is because he said he wasn't going to attend the inauguration, and they decided that that would incite violence because Donald Trump is, which I don't see how that's going to, because Joe Biden agreed. Yet Joe Biden didn't get suspended. Joe Biden agreed that Trump should not attend the election or inauguration. Yet Trump got suspended for that reason. That exact phrase is why Twitter said they suspended Donald Trump. Something that Joe Biden agreed with, yet they didn't suspend Joe Biden. Fam, censorship is dangerous. Again, read the link in the description box for that article about them quote unquote fact checking people calling out Jim Crow Joe's record. This is dangerous. This ain't about no damn Trump or supporting Trump. This is about censorship, and I just gave you several examples of how they're censoring black people in general and how they censored me personally. It's stupid, it's dumb, and it's dangerous. We are getting into a dictatorship society. We're getting into a type society. We're getting into a right think, wrong think type of society where you can start committing thought crimes. And if you don't go along with what society says, they will censor you and silence you. They're really double downing on making a sheep society because so many damn idiots are already sheep based on the media and social media. And they're going to make sure that the few people that aren't sheep are completely silenced so that nobody else has ever woken up. But anyway, fam, there was a lot of interruptions during that recording. Um, Alarms and maybe little noises like my dog wrestling around. So anyway, fam, that's another rant about the Capitol rant and or the Capitol raid and censorship. So anyway, fam, like, share, subscribe, and peace.